Think of all the great things the nation of Greece has brought to the world. The Olympics, Kojak, Uncle Jesse, the letters Delta Tau Chi, and probably one of the greatest things, the Euro sandwich, or gyro if you're from the Northeast, like me. Alright, so the first thing we got to do is break out our large vertical rotisserie. What, you don't have one? I don't have one either. We're going to do this in the oven. We're going to do this in the frying pan. It's going to come out absolutely amazing. And it's so much easier than you think. All you got to do is have patience. Which again, I have none, because we got to cook it in the oven. Then we got to let it sit overnight, or at least for a few hours till it, cools down. Then we're going to do it in a frying pan, so stick around, let's get it done.
We're going to start off in our food processor with 4 large, or in my case, 6 small cloves of garlic that have been peeled. Get the lid snapped on that. Then we're going to pulse it a few times just to get it started, and then we're going to let the food processor do its magic. You know it's done when the garlic is sticking to the sides and no longer flopping around and hitting the blades. It's going to get even finer ground when we add the meat and everything. So for right now, we just want to get it to the point where it's sticking to the sides, just to basically get it started. Once the garlic is done, we're going to pop the lid back off, and we're going to add in 1 medium, or in my case, 1.5 small onions that have been quartered. We'll snap that lid back on, and we'll do the same thing. We'll pulse it to start, give it a few taps, and then let it run until it sticks to the sides. The fragrance that's coming off this is just absolutely amazing. I mean, garlic and onion are the 2 great tastes that taste great together, you know what I mean? So once that's done, it's time to add our spice mix. I'm going to start off with 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Then we're going to go with 1 heaping teaspoon of oregano, and 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. And if your bowl's a little damp, it's going to stick a little, but that's okay. We tap it out, snap the lid back on, and take that for a ride. We just want to get everything mixed up to start. Now we're going to add in 1 sprig of rosemary leaves. Pull them off the stem. You don't want the hard part in there. Otherwise, it's like having a natural toothpick. You don't want that kind of texture. You want this to be smooth. So we pluck off the leaves, get them in there, and then give that a twirl. There we go. Looks good. Pop the lid off. Now we're going to add our meat. 1 pound of ground lamb. If you don't like lamb, if you're absolutely against it, don't use it. You can substitute beef. I strongly recommend the lamb because it does give a really good, distinct, and pleasant flavor. So 1 pound of ground lamb, and then we're going to go with 1 pound of 90% lean ground beef. Give it the beefiness. And then we're gonna let this go until it's a homogenous paste. We're not worrying about overworking because we're going to slice this really thin and then cook it in the frying pan. But we want everything to be combined. We want to be able to look at it and not see any distinct onions, garlic, anything. We want everything to be like one. We want it to be as one, as zen, I guess. I don't know. Just go until it's a paste and everything's combined. You know what I mean? There we go. It is a beautifully fragrant meat paste. So then in a 9x5 loaf pan that we've sprayed down with some cooking spray, we're going to get our meat mix in there. And then with wet hands, if you wet your hands, the meat won't stick. So you can even smooth it out with your hands. You can smooth it out with the spatula. You just want this to be as smooth in the pan as possible. Look at that. You want it to be even. Any of those peaks are going to overcook. You don't want to do that. So it's going to cook in a 325 degree oven. It takes about an hour. Mine took just over an hour because you want to get the internal temperature to 160 degrees. And then it's going to carry over another 5 degrees or so. So 165 is our final target temperature. And now that it's done and beautiful, look at that. All that fat that dripped out, that it's kind of swimming in, We want that. We need that to stay in the pan. We need to cool this down to room temperature. Then we're going to cover it in foil and put it in the fridge, but do not dump that out. Leave it in the pan.
All right, so the meat mix is baked up. It's now sitting there cooling. We're going to wrap it tight with foil and stick it in the fridge overnight. So I'll be back tomorrow, or in the case of Movie Magic, 10 seconds. Suspend disbelief. It just needs to cool down. If you can't cool it down overnight, at least make this in the morning and let it cool all day so it's ready for dinner. But it needs to cool down. It's super important. So we'll be back theoretically tomorrow. Ooh. Hey, it's tomorrow. Let's finish this off.
So we're going to make our tzatziki sauce, because you can't have a gyro without tzatziki sauce. 1 beautiful English cucumber. We're going to peel this bad boy. Just use your vegetable peeler. Peel it as you do with a vegetable peeler. You know what you're doing. Now that it's peeled, we're going to take our knife, be like the moil, and cut off the tip. And then I like to cut it in half. We're going to grate this. It's just easier to work with a half a cucumber as opposed to a whole cucumber, and then you worry about it breaking. Get your box grater, and on the big side, we're going to shred this entire cucumber until it's all shredded. Just watch your meaty bits on your hand. Keep them away from the Sharpie bits on the box grater. That's not great to grate your hand. And then get all the little remnants off. Give it a tap. Scoop it out. You don't want to waste anything. You want to get as much in there as you can. So now that our cucumber is in the bowl, we need to address a very important fact about cucumbers, that they contain a tremendous amount of water, and we don't want that water into our tzatziki sauce. So we're going to sprinkle with a little salt. We're going to give it a toss. And then we're going to transfer it into a colander, a fine mesh colander, or sieve, or strainer, whatever you want to call it. So transfer it in. And then we're just going to kind of let that colander hang in the bowl and let that excess water drip off. Give it a shake, even it out, give it some space for that water to come down. And then we're going to set this off to the side and move on to the next step, which we need garlic, because I guess we got to keep those vampires away, you know? So I'm just cutting off the very top where it connects to the rest, and then we're going to crack it open with the side of the knife to loosen it up. And once you hear that like cracking noise, you should be able to pop the garlic right out of the skin. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Go, get the number 3. Now, we have it peeled. We want to mince it down as fine as possible and almost make a paste out of it. So we'll start off by just slicing it. Go the other way, give it some choppy, choppy, choppy. It likes to dance. And then once we get it down, a few slices through it, we're going to just sprinkle a little bit of kosher salt. I mean, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon, just a little bit. And the coarseness of the salt is going to help to break down the fibers of the garlic. And as we do this, we'll smush it against the board with the side of the knife. Then we'll give it some chopping action. Then we'll go back to kind of smushing it down. And that's going to give us a very, very fine chop on our garlic. You can use a garlic press if you so desire. I think for a sauce like tzatziki, this is a better texture. Even with the press, you still end up with some kind of fibrous bits. Now, once our garlic is done and ready, we're going to address our cucumber again. Look at all that water it gave up. It's not done yet, though. There's still more water in there. We need to take care of that problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer it back into the bowl after we dump the excess water out of the bowl. We're going to take a nice handful of the cucumber, and we're going to squeeze it. It's hard to see from this angle, but there is quite a bit of water coming out of that. The second handful, you can see more. So we're going to give that a couple squeezes, get that excess water out. Pull that one out. There you go. See all that water? You don't want that in your tzatziki sauce. Tzatziki sauce is supposed to be creamy, not wet. It's supposed to be creamy, not moist. Somebody's going to get angry at that. All right, so moving on. 1.5 cups of Greek yogurt. You can use the non-fat variety if you prefer. This is the whole full-fat variety. But do not use vanilla. That will not make good tzatziki. So plain Greek yogurt. And if you don't have Greek yogurt, you can strain out regular yogurt overnight and some cheesecloth. Half a cup of sour cream. Yes, sour cream. It gives a little bit more creaminess than the yogurt does. If you don't want to use sour cream, you just want to do all non-fat Greek yogurt, you can do that. Just up it to 2 cups. Now we'll add our garlic. Nice and fragrant. We're going to add about a half a teaspoon of kosher salt. We're going to test again for seasoning later on, but we'll go with a half a teaspoon just to start. And a few twists of the freshly ground black pepper. I like pepper. You know that. And now the final herb to go in there, we're going to use some fresh dill. You can use dried dill if you'd like. If you're going to use dried dill, you want like about a teaspoon and a half. If you're going to go with the fresh, you can go with a little bit more. Dried herbs that are fresh and that haven't gone stale are actually stronger than fresh herbs, but they have to hydrate. We'll do a whole lesson on herbs another time, but fresh dill is best. It gives a nice bright flavor. I like to chop mine up super fine. I don't want to feel like I'm chewing on grass clippings, which dill, when it's not cut up thoroughly, kind of has that feeling. So we'll run the knife through it a bit, give it a little bit of a mincing, and then once we're happy with it, we'll pop that in too. Get as much in as you can. You don't want to waste anything. That's delicious flavor. You can leave it now. Now we mix it up. You want to mix this as thoroughly as you possibly can. Break up that clump of cucumber that was sitting on the bottom. And once you make this, it's ready to go. You don't have to let it sit, but it's better if you do. I'm making this just a little bit before I eat it. So it's mixed up. I tested for seasoning, adjusted, added a little salt. And then it goes in the fridge while we do the rest. Now this is our meat that we cooked last night. If I can ever get the foil off. There we go. You see the fat in the bottom? The fat that's in the bottom that you see there, right there. We need that. You don't want to lose that, because if you're not going to eat this whole loaf, you're going to spread it out over a week, or if you want to freeze it, this freezes well. You want to include that with your bag of meat when you stick it in the freezer. That gelatin, you want that. That is all flavor, and that's going to help keep it moist. So a little bit of that in the frying pan will go a long way. Now we're going to slice this as thin as we can get it without making it fall apart. If you see that little pinkness there, don't worry about that. That's just the meat. The meat is fully cooked at this point. You can eat it. It's just better when you brown it. Take a few slices. Put that bad boy back in the pan for later. Save those little pieces of fat, because they'll go in the frying pan, all that gelatin that's there. All gelatin is the connective tissue that's rendered out and mixed with fat. It's absolutely delicious. All right, so meat sliced. Time to warm up our flatbread. I did not make this. I didn't have time this morning. So I just, store-bought. Just get good stuff. You can do this with pita bread. You can do this with flatbread. You can do it with homemade bread. You can do it with Lebanese mountain bread. You can do it with whatever bread makes you happy. This is what's making me happy today. But we want to get it a little warm, a little toasty, because warm bread always tastes better. Give it a flip, and once it's ready, we are going to fry our meat. And this is what gives it that crispness, the Maillard reactions, gives that nice flavor of the toasted meat is what we want. So we're going to put it in there, and it only takes a few minutes. We're just going to get it till it's browned a little bit. So let it cook. While that's cooking, we're going to set up the rest of our sandwich. I'm going with a nice spring mix lettuce blend. I'm going with the basic, traditional, classic gyro sandwich. Lettuce, tomato, onions. That's all you really need. But you can customize this. You could put feta cheese on there if you want. You could put some sliced kalamata olives. That's delicious too. You could put hummus. Everybody likes hummus. Thinly sliced red onions are the best for this. So that's all set. Tzatziki. Can't forget the tzatziki. Splatter it around all over the place. Now that that's ready to go, let's check on our meat. What do you say? Look at that. That's what you want right there. That's what we want. So now it's good. Yes, I did add an extra piece of meat. I should have actually added a couple more. That's my only regret with this, is I didn't put enough meat, because you can never have enough meat. So we'll get that on the sandwich. Yet again, I'm sitting here watching this and salivating because I know how good it was. Look at that. That is a beautiful, beautiful gyro sandwich.
So my house has smelled like Gyro Meat from yesterday, now today cooking this. I'm salivating. This is one, I keep saying everything's my favorite. I really only cook things that I really like. So this is something I always enjoy. So, I mean, look. Look at the crispiness on that meat. Oh, and that tzatziki came out so good. I'm gonna go right from the middle and get it all over my face. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The spices in the meat, the cumin really shines through. The onions and that fresh tzatziki. Just, oh, so damn good. You need to make this. If you don't make this, then I feel very sad for you. And if you don't like lamb, come on, you can just do it with beef, okay? So just do this. I'm gonna take another bite. I'll be right back. So there you have it, folks. A gyro as delicious as one that came from a restaurant. I guarantee you that. If you really like this recipe, or you made it, you want to tell me how it came out, drop it down in the comments. I would love to hear that. If you want to tell me I suck and I did it wrong and it's not authentic and you shouldn't be doing it because you're not great. Yeah, put that down in the comments. I like hate mail. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, comment, share this with your grandma. I'm sure she'd love it. And we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one.